So I'm too lazy to open them.
I'd like some legal advice, please.
Right, don't commit any murders, don't park on a double yellow line, and the police are the ones in the funny hats.
No, it's my next-door neighbour's pear tree. It overhangs my garden.
Oh, well, move his pear tree.
I can't do that.
Oh, well, move your garden, then. All you need is a couple of bin liners and a spade.
Where would I put it?
Put it in your pocket. You could grow a rose tree in your slacks.
Yes, I suppose I could.
Or train some ivy up your left-hand side.
Thank you very much.
That's a pleasure. She'll have a green fly by the end of the week. When I was 17, I got bitten by a radioactive tortoise. And I immediately developed these... I'd immediately developed these superhuman powers. So I thought, well, I suppose I better fight evil then. And soon criminals trembled whenever they heard the name Tortoise Man, right? As soon as a crime was committed within a 5-mile radius, I would immediately spring into action. I would develop a very hard shell on my back and walk very slowly towards a lettuce leaf. Enough to frighten anybody. I had some arch enemies, I can tell you. Decorator Man, he was the worst. He was an evil genius who had the uncanny ability to transform himself into a roll of ready-pasted vinyl wallpaper. What he'd do is he'd get himself pasted up into somebody's bathroom, sort of like that, and then in the middle of the night, he'd peel himself off and run down the street with a video recorder. And if anybody saw him, any eyewitnesses, they'd have to go down to the police station, you know, but instead of looking through a book of mugshots, they get one of those large books of wallpaper patterns. So the other...
Excuse me, have you got a copy of Psychic News?
You tell me. You've been waiting long?
No, I just arrived, actually. Didn't you see me come in?
Well, I thought that was your twin brother.
No, I don't have a twin brother.
The Pope's got a twin brother.
Really?
He's called Gary. He lives down on the Beethoven-Hausen estate.
I don't think I know it.
Yes, you do, yeah. Just off Treble Cleft Terrace. Round the back of Semi-Quaver Street. Opposite the Nessum Dormer Community Centre.
I dare say.
Anyway, every Friday night, he dresses up as the Pope and goes down a karaoke club.
He must be very popular.
He is, yeah. Mind you, it's the real Pope I feel sorry for. Every time he leaves the Vatican, people expect him to sing Strangers in the Night. He does it and all, he's quite good.
It must be a constant strain.
You after planning permission?
Yes, I want to build an extension onto my kitchen.
So do I. But why I should want to build an extension on your kitchen, I've no idea. Last year, I applied to extend one of my bookshelves.
You don't need planning permission for that.
You do if you want to extend it to Gibraltar.
Gibraltar?
Yeah. I wanted to put every book that Barbara Cartland's ever written on one shelf. When I tried it, all the books fell off. Right into the Bay of Biscay. There was a book slick 22 miles long. Seagulls covered in romantic fiction.
It must have been a logistical nightmare.
It was, yeah. Mind you, this planning permission lark is a lottery. It's not who you are, it's who you know. Mind you, it's who you are as well, because if you're not the person you thought you were, then you wouldn't know the people that you thought you knew. That's how local government works.
I suppose so.
Yeah. Well, mind you, they're sticklers for detail. Cool, cool. Cool, cool. 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 Last year, I wanted to build an extension. I wanted to build... Cool. I wanted to... Last year I wanted to build an extension off my bedroom and turn it into a garage. They said it was too dangerous.
Why was that?
I live halfway up a tower block. They said the car would keep falling out. Mind you, I went ahead and built it anyway.
Anyone else would have done the same.
Mind you, that tower block's falling to bits. The only thing keeping it together is my letterbox. If that falls off, God help us. And it's loose now.
Yes, well, I'm sure you're right, but I really...
I must have had a registered parcel.
Very smart turnout, my ward.
Thank you, sir. The whole staff have made a very special effort for tonight.
Quite right. After all, it's a very great honour to have the King dining here this evening.
Begging your pardon, sir, but is His Majesty as handsome and as elegant as they say he is?
He's a fine figure of a man, Emily. His suave sophistication make him the most sought-after dinner guest in Europe.
Excuse me, my lady. The King's carriage has arrived.
Places, everyone. His Majesty, King Edward VII.
Is this where the party is, then?
Your Majesty.
You're going bald, mate. Not like me, eh? I've got a full head of hair, haven't I?
Yes, Your Majesty.
Go on, then, say it. Say I've got a full head of hair.
Your Majesty has a full head of hair.
Because I've done any jokes about baldies tonight, all right? First one to do a slaphead gag ends up in the Tower of London. Now, where's me dinner? Through here?
Your Majesty, may I say how honoured and delighted we are that you've chosen to dine here tonight?
Who's this?
It is you, Your Majesty.
That can't be me. Where's me full head of hair? You trying to make me look like a baldy?
Well,
You know, my hair goes more like this, you see. This is my hair. Look, I'll show you. Look. See, like that. See? And I've got a bit of a part in there and all. That's my hair, like that. You see the resemblance now, look.
Yes, it's quite striking.
Yeah, right, well then. Where shall I sit here? Dear, dear.
Your Majesty, I believe Lord Montdrago has made a rather radical proposal for the solution of the Saxe-Coburg succession.
Who told you to sit down? You know the rules. You only sit down when I say so.
I'm terribly sorry, Your Majesty.
Yeah, well, let's have less of it then. All right, you may sit down.
Oh.
In 20 seconds. No, forget the 20 seconds.
Oh.
Make it 15. You may sit down.
Your Majesty.
Yeah.
May I introduce Lord and Lady Coatbridge?
Yes, you may. Go on, then.
Allow me to introduce Lord and Lady Coatbridge.
Well, I've just said I've allowed you, haven't I?
It's Lord and Lady Coatbridge.
Blimey, is that it? You haven't said who I am yet. I might be the Muffin Man for all they know.
Your Majesty needs no introduction.
May we congratulate Your Majesty on your recent accession to the throne?
Crawler.
And may we convey our condolences on the tragic death of your late mother, Queen Victoria.
Well, speaking personally, I couldn't wait for her to fall off the twig. I spent 40 years waiting to become king, you know. I thought she'd never go in the end. I was putting roller skates at the top of the stairs. I took her water skiing once.
She will be much missed by us all.
Not by me, mate. I love being king. See this penny here? That's me on there. If you spin this coin, it'll always land head first. Do you know why? Because the head side is heavier. Because I've got a full head of hair, look. Here, how'd you become a lord?
Ah, my father was a lord. It's an hereditary title.
Well, I'm not having that. If I can make somebody a lord, I can take it away again. From now on, you're not a lord. And nor are you.
Well, there's always been a Lord Coatbridge.
Oh, in that case, he can be Lord Coatbridge. And you're Lady Coatbridge.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Right, I'm off.
You're not dining with us, Your Majesty?
What, eat dinner with you commoners? Not likely. I'm going to eat in the kitchen with Lord and Lady Coatbridge. Grab the turkey, will you? You got any beer in? Of course, one part of the law is insurance. About a month ago, there'd been a fire in a Cardiff-based onion ring factory, and the manager, of course...
Could I have a box of chocolates with soft centres, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, I've only got hard centres.
Well, give me a box of hard centres and a blow lamp.
There's your hard centres. She won't get 5 yards. When I was at school, I used to hate taking exams, you know, and then somebody gave me a really good piece of advice. They said, all you've got to do is just learn everything about the subject. And then cheat, obviously. For my maths O-level, I had Pythagoras' theorem tattooed on the inside of my eyelids. I still got it there, I'll show you. The square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the two squares on the opposite sides. And do you know what? You can half-pull the women with that. They can't get enough of it. They think they can, but they can't. They say, I've seen enough. And you do it again, and they say, frankly, I was wrong. Now, for another exam, I had a two-way radio here, disguised as a wasp, right? And so when I got the questions, I sort of read the questions into the wasp, and there's my mate outside in a van, right? And he sort of relays the answers back through the wasp. And I passed that exam with flying colours. It was only later that I actually realised it was a real wasp. I'd left the two-way radio at home. Still, it just goes to show how much a wasp knows about English literature. If it had been a bumblebee, I'd have been well stuffed. For my history O-level, I wanted to copy the answers off the cleverest boy in the class, but he was like sitting 6 rows in front of me. So I thought, well, how am I going to do this? Because somehow, in the examination hall, I had to get up, move over to where he was, sort of write the answers down, and get back without anybody noticing, you know. So I thought, well, the way to do it is to be sort of like rather nonchalant about it. So I thought, what I'll do is, I'll pretend like I'm getting a bit of exercise, you know. So I just sort of stood up and just sort of stretched like that, and just pretended to faint and sort of stumbled forward. I'm sure I didn't walk like that. I'd have remembered walking like that. That's just a walk I do now, I think. I couldn't have walked like that when I was 16. Somebody would have mentioned it to me, wouldn't they? So I found myself next to this bloke's desk there, and so I wrote down the answers in the examination hall like that, and then sort of moved back. I'm doing it backwards now, look. And sort of moved back to where I was, you know. And I thought, well, I can't keep this up, because sooner or later somebody's going to spot me. Then I suddenly remembered that in my back pocket I had a magic boomerang. Whenever I threw it, time stood still, which is exactly what I needed to get backwards and forwards. So I threw it, and time stood still. Well, it stood still for the examiner, because it hit him on the back of the head. He was unconscious for 6 weeks. And finally, and tragically, when they eventually brought him round, they found he had the IQ of a grapefruit. So they made him a PE teacher.
Excuse me, I'd like this film developed.
Oh, right. Right, well, I'll have it done by this afternoon, then.
But your sign says photos developed while you wait.
Yeah, well, you'll have to wait 4 hours, then, won't you?
Well, I'll wait.
All right, please yourself. I'll have to get that clock fixed. It keeps doing that. We'll still have to wait 4 hours. About a month ago, I decided to grow a tropical rainforest in my living room. So I sort of soaked the carpet with water, scattered a load of seeds over it, and turned the central heating up. And about a week later, I went back in there, and I had to use a machete to cut my way through to the television set. You know where it is, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I went to sit down. I sat down in front of the television set when suddenly, out of nowhere, a puma grabbed the remote control and ran off with it. So, well, I thought, well, I'll forget the television, so I decided to follow the river upstream, round the back of the settee, you know. And as I walked alongside the meandering water, The filtered sunlight illuminating the undergrowth through a canopy of green. I remembered the words of Rudyard Kipling. If the rainforests are the lungs of the planet, what part of the body is Birmingham city centre? Then I heard the sound of singing from a nearby lagoon. I was drawn towards it like Frank Boff towards a load of cocaine. Which is quite a lot, obviously. And then I saw her. She was beautiful. I was transfixed by her. You know how it is, don't you?
No.
No. You still here?
Yes.
And I was transfixed by her. She was beautiful. She showed me the tricks of the jungle. She showed me how to make a canoe out of a rowing boat. And she winked at me and I winked at her. The square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the two squares on the other two sides. And she couldn't get enough of it either. Good afternoon. I'm a hospital visitor.
Oh, good. I don't get many visitors. The only visitors I do get just sit there reading a newspaper. Excuse me?
Oh, sorry. What's the matter with you, then?
Well, actually, I've got a rare disease.
Really?
It's called Garrett-Hedley syndrome.
Oh, Garrett-Hedley syndrome. Oh, I saw a documentary about that the other night.
Oh, really?
What was it called? Hopeless Cases, that was it.
What?
Oh, no, don't worry, they found out something new about it the other day.
Oh, what was that?
It's incurable.
But the doctor said I'd be out of here in a week.
Oh, you probably will be. You won't be going home on the bus, though.
Well, do they provide an ambulance, then?
Yeah, long black one. Do you fancy a toffee?
Yeah.
So do I. Are you religious at all?
Well, actually, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist.
Oh, you'll be lucky to see 6 of them. Mind you, they're still working on an antidote. They're using white mice. They reckon the doctors haven't had much luck, so they might as well let the mice have a go. Oh, they'll have a job holding the test tubes. Still, you'll know when the end arrives.
Will I?
Oh, yeah, your face turns green, your tongue turns blue, and you scream the bloody place down. It's really horrible, being stuck in the same room as somebody who's got that. Still, there is one good thing about your illness.
What's that?
I haven't got it. Hello, good evening, and welcome again to Paul Merton's Golden Years of Hollywood. Tonight, we pay tribute to one of the greatest British film studios of its day, Bloomsbury Films. Although never a giant in world cinema, it nevertheless produced a series of films that made it a giant of world cinema. Bloomsbury Films was the brainchild of that brilliant promoter, George Bloomsbury Films. His very first film was made on a shoestring budget in 1937, The Titanic Story. Impressive stuff. Bloomsbury Films followed up this success with a big-budget blockbuster, The Bible, filmed in its entirety from beginning to end. In this dramatic excerpt, Noah builds his ark. This film was so successful that 2 years later, Bloomsbury Films remade it as a musical. Bloomsbury Films spent the war years making a series of propaganda films designed to boost morale. Unfortunately, he made them for the Nazi Party. After spending 15 years in prison, Bloomsbury Films made what proved to be his very last movie. He went over budget by 20 million in a desperate attempt to recapture former glories. And so, As the ice cream ladies with the illuminated trays make their way back up the aisle, I bid you farewell from Paul Merton's golden years of Hollywood. This is a good newspaper, The Liar. Some good stories in here. Woman attacked by silkworm. Cocoon taken to hospital. Drunken pterodactyl found in garage.
Two more cafes.
2 more cafes? Blimey, I've only just opened up this one.
No, monsieur, 2 more coffees.
Well, hang on. I'll go down to the kitchen and get them for you.
La fille de joie est belle, au coin de la rue là-bas. Elle a une clientèle. Quand son boulot s'achève, elle s'en va à son tour, chercher un peu de rêve dans un bal de fond. Son homme est un artiste, c'est un drôle de petit gars, un accordéoniste qui sait jouer la java. Elle écoute la java, mais elle ne regarde même pas la piste. Mais ses yeux amoureux suivent le. Elle doit c'est que l'ombre de l'artiste. S'appuieront dans la porte par la main, par la main, et l'homme qui chante ses musiques. Son être est tendu, sans souffler, suspendu. C'est un œuvre réto de la musique.
French. You're going to have to do better than that.
Isn't it marvellous?